Oh, hello again. Welcome to my rough mathematics of drawing. This is the first time. First, we start off with just the introduction and why we're doing this. Now we're just going to talk about how I actually see things. So, basically how I kind of go about drawing. So, big sense this is all about math and the fun little thing I'm trying to do with this randomized book. The first thing you have to understand is how I ended up measuring things. So today we'll talk about fractions of quick measurements. Let's see if I can remember. So let's talk about the first thing. Understanding eyeball measurements and angles. In a way, what I'm trying to say is, well, have you seen an artist or a painter sitting out on the field using a pencil to measure a subject, to study a subject? So, this is kind of like a common trope you see when you actually see artists drawing or painting on the field, studying any life drawing. This is me being silly. Now, what the artist is actually doing is they're using the tip of the pencil and the tip of their thumb and using that as kind of a pseudo ruler. The idea is to quickly measure and see angles. As the artist looks at their subject, they figure, okay, is that a 45-degree angle? What's the distance between the hand and the head? What curve is that as the body? What curve is the spine? Little things like that. And the idea is to try and replicate it as best as possible. Or in a way, try to scale down the subject matter. This is kind of what I want to try and introduce when it comes to making things up for your comics and character creators and everything, whatever you want. So, the general understanding of this measurement is you're not trying to get anything perfect. You're not walking up to the subject and using a ruler to actually measure every single thing out to make sure that it's the correct length. What you're trying to do is try to get the most approximate, you're trying to get the best representation of the subject. So, that said, let's move on to the next one. halves and thirds. So, when I draw everything, when I started studying subject matter, when I started studying my subjects, locations, rooms, anything, I started having a shift in the way I perceived things. Now I wasn't focusing, used to be focusing on how you just draw the subject matter. It's kind of like copying. When an artist starts drawing, you're kind of going to start usually with representation, with stick figures and blocky characters. But the urge to want to be better ends up having you start tracing drawings, just to be because you're unsure of how you want to draw. You're unsure of your drawing skills. Once you get past your tracing phase, you'll end up doing a full copy without any frame or roughs or framework or anything. You'll just do you'll try to be the best one-to-one copy as possible. Sometimes when it comes to painting, this works perfectly fine. When it comes to comics, on the other hand, you need to learn to break free of that, which is how we start breaking into the body structure and the anatomy, and your Marvel how-to books, whatever you can. But what I started noticing is there might be a simpler way of going about things. And really it comes down to my theory of halves and thirds, right? When you really start drawing, you don't actually... Where is my... I must have erased it. All right, there it is. When you first... when I start drawing, what I tend to do is see my objects as a pseudo halves and thirds. This is my eyeballing. This is my quick measurements. And this helps me understand quick form. It helps me not second guess my characters. So the idea is that I know if I'm worried about how the length of my arms, I know that the bicep, top of my arm, bicep, shoulder, bicep, tricep, together is the same length as my forearm. These are my halves. If you want to break down just the bicep and the tricep, same thing. These, in a way, are halves. The body, from chest to pelvis, is my thirds. legs, halves. All these little things help me make sure that the body is in the right proportion. And yes, I could skew this if I want to. That's fine, but I have I can go about drawing any figure without any worry. And on top of that, I know that whatever caricature I want to make, I can make easily, as long as I stick to my rule of halves and thirds. So, now, how do we expand the concept of halves and thirds? What we do is we expand it out. If my person we can use my character, any character. So imagine seeing your character on what is that? The character line. Let me quickly draw a character out for you. All right. So, say you have a character is on a character line. I'm saying character line, I mean like character sheet. Standard character sheet will usually have the page kind of segmented like that with other characters standing next to it. What you usually see is your main character next to various characters on the page. Each character is usually taller or shorter or wider or whatever you want but basically different from the main character. Naturally, what you usually do is, because you love your main character, like all artists do, what they tend to do is they measure everyone around your main character. Taller characters are usually about a head higher. Smaller characters are just under the head. Or you have wider characters or stouter characters, whatever. You're instinctively already using your main character as a ruler. Simple as that. So what if you just expand that concept? What if you take that and then I use that for everyday objects? Coffee table. Up to the knees. The bottom trim of a wall. Ankle length. Regular table. I'd say the bottom of the pelvis, so about here. This works for desks as well. A door is probably like half the height. Just not fully a head high, but definitely higher than the head. What about chairs? Well, there's the knee again. Windows, usually about starting at the hips. In this way, all you're doing is using your character in the scene to measure out every object you need in your scene. Once you place your character in the scene, now you have a ruler. And now you could use him to place every other object in the room. It also works vice versa. You could have a bunch of objects in the room, and then after using that, know if I have a chair in the room, then I know my knees have to come up just about there. And know the rest of the body. So, I'll probably go more in depth with measurements of characters and stuff. But understand that I like using this a lot. Even from... so, as I keep going on with this series, I'm going to keep coming back to these key... these key points. And this is a better understanding of how I approach drawing. Something that I haven't really seen anyone else do. I could be wrong. I haven't seen a lot of people draw. Well, no, I've been watching a lot of people drawing, but I haven't seen this approach to it. So, yeah. After this, we'll go into faces in addition. Thanks for watching, and it'll get a little better next time. Trust me. See you.